Hi, welcome to ISRAR'S channel for another session of Learning with ISRAR. Today we are going to discuss about gap analysis, its definition, steps in gap analysis, tools used in gap analysis, and types of gap analysis. So let's start with the definition of gap analysis. A gap analysis is a method of assessing the performance of a business to determine whether the business requirements or objectives are being met or not. So, if not, what steps should be taken to meet those objectives or the goals? Simply, it is a finding a gap between where our business is standing now and where we want to take our business to means our target or our desire or potential place. A gap analysis may also called a need analysis or need assessment or need gap analysis. After defining the uh, gap analysis, let's see what are the steps we have to take to do this analysis. Step 1 is identifying the current state of the business. Step 2 is identify where business should be, target, desire, or potential level of that business we want to take. And then step 3 is identify the gaps in between present and target or desired positions of the business. And the last one is that developing plans and a strategy to close those gaps between present and targeted or desired position of the business. Now let's see what kind of tools we use to do a gap analysis. There are many different tools and approaches can be utilized to perform a gap analysis, but let's take a look at the some of the most commonly used tools to conduct a gap analysis. Uh, there are SWOT analysis, McKinsey 7S model, Fishbone Diagram, Nedler's-Tushman's congruence model, and the last one is the PERT technique. Okay, now let's start with the first tool, which is SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis or SWOT matrix is a framework used to identify the internal and external elements those affect the organization. Internals are like strengths and the weaknesses of an organization. Externals are the opportunities or the threats an organization has. Then, after doing this analysis, it provides us a comparison chart that businesses can use to examine their current situation, which helps in a gap analysis. The next tool is McKinsey's 7S model. The 7S model is a strategic tool in which manager examines the structure, strategy, system, skills, style, staff, and the shared values of an organization to analyze the organizational gap, inconsistencies, and alignment issues, which helps to do a gap analysis and then how to overcome these gaps. Okay, the next tool is the Fishbone Diagram model or Ishikawa diagram model. In this model, a manager visualize the cause and the effect relationship between organizational issue and their root causes. In this model, they examine 6 M's like manpower, method, machine, material, media, mean environment, and measurement, which help to see how they relate to the central or the main issue and help to fix these problems to achieve the goals which we have set in the gap analysis to reach that particular level of performance or work. The next tool is the Nadler-Tushman congruence model. In this model, we look at the broader picture of an organization by examining its work, culture, people, and structure to understand how these different elements work in a amalgamation to influence certain outcome. This model dissects each of these elements to help managers and decision makers to understand the ways in which organizations function and how different parts interact with one another. After a thorough evaluation through this model, we define the deficiencies in the system and make a in the organization and make a plan to overcome these deficiencies and reach to our goal in our gap analysis. The next, which is the last tool in our presentation today, is the PERT technique. It is a program evaluation and review technique used to evaluate the tasks in a schedule with the aim of determining the amount of time it will require to finish a product. So this tool is leveraged by organization to plan tasks within a project and create a schedule that facilitate coordination and efficient execution of the task. After discussing the different tools for gap analysis, let's now talk about the types of gap analysis. Businesses use there are many gap analysis types in different businesses area depending on their needs and goals. But here are a few of the most popular types of gap analysis are performance gap analysis, product gap analysis, market gap analysis, compliance gap analysis, and strategic gap analysis. So let's now discuss one by one. The first type is the performance gap analysis. In this type of analysis finds the difference between an organization's expected or potential performance and their actual performance. Another gap analysis is of product gap analysis. In this analysis, we find the difference between the feature and the capabilities of a product and what the customers required. The next one is the market gap analysis. This analysis examines the gap between the market's wants and the company's products or the services. The next gap analysis is about compliances. This analysis shows the difference between the required regulatory standards and what an organization does. Last but not the least is the strategic gap analysis. It is a business management technique that requires an evaluation of difference between a business endures best possible outcome and the actual outcome. So means the best potential and the actual what is happening, the difference between these two situations. It includes recommendation on steps that can be taken to close the gap and aims to determine what specific step a company can take to achieve a particular goal. It is a range of factors including the time frame, management performance and budget constraints are looked at critical in order to identifying shortcomings and then overcoming those shortcomings and reaching to the optimal level. At the end, after finding all the gaps and the causes, so we can do three things: planning, define the actions and set the milestone. In planning, plan effective strategy for future with views of closing gaps and attaining the set objectives or invest the outcome. Then define actions based on the strategies and the plans for areas of improvement. Define effective actions to accomplish the objectives. And the last one, to set the milestones. Designate attainable milestones to each action for greater efficiency. This was a brief discussion about the gap analysis, in which I try to explain gap analysis, tools to do this analysis, and types of gap analysis, and finally a process after finding the gap. I hope after listening this presentation you have a very fair idea about the gap analysis. But if you have any question, please write in the comment section and I will be glad to answer those questions. Now goodbye till next presentation. Till then, take care.